Junior, what's up? You all right? So top of the afternoon to those that are just coming in, just knocking off, just getting off from work. We're live here at Universal Barbershop on Court Street for our men's talk in the barbershop. And as you know that topics are open in the barbershop. We talk about everything in the barbershop. But we're going to talk about housing. That is a serious issue. We're going to talk about some of the stuff we see, the violence and the gang violence and the shootings and the stabbings and the fights between male and female. We've got a few guests here, guests that's going to break it down and help us to see things in a different light. So we're open for discussion. We are live, men's talk in the barbershop. I want to thank those that support my network. The Swan Group, Wilmont Trucking, Rise and Shine. Yeah, so I want to thank those that support TNN Network in general. Kendrick, come in. How's the brothers afternoon? Top of the afternoon.
Good, my brothers. Good to see you today.
Top of the afternoon. Take the mic.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to Universal Barbershop, where we have another edition of the Men's Talk in the Barbershop. People, we just want to start this off first. Bermuda is not the same place that we used to live once before. I will say this again. Bermuda is not the same place that we used to once live in before. There have been many things that have changed our whole outlook on how we look at life, how we view life, and how we live life in Bermuda. We have seen how violence has very much started in our communities, and it has now become island-wide a problem for all of us to start having to look within ourselves and start figuring out how we're going to very much get to start creating some solutions and putting some things forward that can help and assist with families and also our young men that are very much out there caught up in lifestyles that they know not where the end result is going to be, and they know not how they can very much even change themselves. We call upon people who are looking to want to assist with helping, whether it's financially, mentally, or spiritually, with solutions to help out, whether it's our government or whether it's helping our communities put structure in place that can help us now start change the concept and the narrative of how we've been living in the last 10 to 20 years. I say it again, people. We are in a serious crisis situation within our island, and we have people that are here within the barbershop today that are going to also assist us with providing information that can very much help us start think and look into how we can start move forward in a direction that can help bring some healing to our families and into our island.
Let me say that. How we're going to start is we're going to go. We got Pastor Leroy being he spoke. I was in court this week, and we had some of our young black men that are challenged with the defending themselves. He really made me think, because I was brought up on Court Street, and I've seen men get beating as a young boy. So I thought that's what's going to be my life when I got old. But the challenges that our young men have today are completely different. And Pastor Bean shed some light on, and it opened my eyes to what our young black men are going through, young boys, young teens are going through. Pastor, want to come in and elaborate how you explain to the magistrate the challenges of our young black men today. It was profound, and it was very explosive how you put it. So come in, talk to us, and give us some revelation.
Sure. One of the things that we focus on in gang violence is what I consider to be secondary issues. Secondary issues is things that basically we make it the major issue. For instance, when we talk about, we look at the lack of employment or the the economic disparity. We look at certain conditions, and what happens is we focus on the certain conditions rather than to focus on the systemic root system behind it that causes trauma to a community. One of the things that are essential and very important when it comes to our young black males is that many things are put upon them and they don't even understand them. And so when we look at the historical trauma, which comes from colonialism, we look at the black slave syndrome that has afflicted certain things that has come to our young black males. When we look at certain things that have taken place with our young black males, we take them for granted. For instance, when we look at some of our young black males that go into certain areas, and all of a sudden what happens is that just because they're from another area, we find people jumping on them, beating them up and so on, that afflicts trauma on that young man. So trauma is afflicted on the young man. We found out that the trauma causes something that we call epigenetic marks. Epigenetic marks cause something we call gene expression. But what happens with all that is this. When we look at the gene expression that takes place, there are three components that really start to, that manifest itself. We have what we call the histone proteins, we have the methylation modification, and we have the RNA, which is the ribonucleic acids. These things, what they do is, they involve the signals that go to a certain part of our brain. So in the brain, there are three major parts. I mean, there are many parts in the brain, but we're going to talk about. And one is the amygdala. We have the hippocampus, and we also have the frontal cortex. What these things do is they deal with our thoughts, our emotions, and our behaviors. When trauma is involved, it distorts the signal that goes from that individual to the brain, which starts to manifest certain behaviors. Now, while it's, some people will look at it, well, they're responsible, but when trauma comes, it clouds it. It's almost like somebody putting a head over your head where you can't really think clearly. And so what Bermuda needs to start to do is we need to start to look things beyond what they actually see and start to understand what's actually happening psychologically, not just sociologically. We talk about that all the time. But with these young black males, when we start to look at them, they're filled with trauma. And so automatically, and this is not to justify or condone some of the things that they do. But a young male that is under trauma and his signals are being distorted, and he thinks his life's at threat, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to start to try to defend and protect himself. He might carry a bladed article. This is not to say that it's right. But however, we need to understand the factors behind it that make that individual act the way that they act. This person is brought up from a home that 3 generations back was filled with violence, that the epigenetic marks can pass from one generation to the next, right to them, and they don't even understand why they're behaving the way they behave. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that the sins of the fathers go to the 3rd and the 4th generation. Well, in actual fact, it's an epigenetic mark. They have a legal right spiritually. They have a legal right biologically, to actually pass on to the next generation. So we have some people that are fighting certain things, don't even understand where they came from, and don't even know how to deal with them. So it's up to us as a community. We need to start to educate ourselves how we can actually support that young man. It's not as straightforward as bringing groups together to actually negotiate. Because if the thought pattern is not corrected, the same behavior will manifest itself over and over again. And so I'm basically want Bermuda to start to look into the bigger picture. I have this book, it's called Gang Violence is by Design, and we actually touch a lot of those factors that are in the book because it's necessary for us to understand exactly what's happening. We have, with colonial system, we have what we call the haves and the have-nots. Yes, sir. And it's by design. It's not by chance that certain places are building up 6 and 7 stories, and yet even with the building that they're doing, what is actually happening is it's causing what we consider to be crowding. Now, it's a psychological fact that crowding itself has a way of bringing aggression. And if you notice that most of the aggression takes place in many of these areas because it's by design that it happens that way. Look what's happening when they tried to build up by Southampton Princess and the objections that they had to go up 6 stories. But yet when it was done behind and Beckerton, we never objected, we never protested, but yet these young people's minds were at risk for certain things to be passed on to them and to their children.
How do we fix? How do we, as a community, how do we fix or even start to look into helping our young black men that are going astray?
Well, I think one of the things is, first of all, the education to understand what's actually happening. I think many people don't know what's happening. They think it's just going to be a job. You can get a job. That could be great. But if your thought pattern is still twisted, it will just manifest another way. You know, you can go and you can get more education. But if you're not changing the way that you think, then this thing's going to manifest again. And so what we need to do is, our minds, as the word says, we need to be transformed by the renewal of our minds. And so it's important for us as a people to start to be transformed. We can't let that which is considered the norm be the norm. We need to break the cycle so that our children's children can actually experience freedom.
I guess I'm standing here thinking how we handle men back in the 60s and 70s. We can't handle our young men today the same way.
No. And I think that a lot of it comes from the processing. You know, we have, certain things that take place psychologically that we take for granted. You know, certain things that happen to individuals when certain things have been transferred. We have biogenics that come into the mix, and we have certain markers that take place that cause certain things to happen. So what we need to do in simple terms, we need to start to make sure that we retrain this generation so that they can deposit into the next generation.
I hope those that are listening. I hope those that are listening are getting this, because it will help all of us as a community to see things different, to see our young black men different. We need to see them different. They have purpose. I mean, because if my mom would have gave up on me, I don't know where I'll be today. So we can't give up on our young man. You know, we have to just go out and grab one of them by the hand and try to hear them out first and try to lead them in the right path.
Yeah. I mean, it almost reminds you of the concept with I believe it was Plato, of the cave theory. And what happened in the cave theory was people that were chained to certain things within the cave. But as the people were chained, somebody came in that experienced the light from the outside. And as they came in, they started to grip those that were in the cave to break the chains to bring them out. But a lot of times what happens is those that are chained think that that's all it is with life. And so they start to resist that which people are trying to do. So we have to understand that there is going to be some resistance. When we start to bring change, change will bring resistance. People that haves, you know, people that have that are fluent, even in finances, they're not going to like it, because it means that the playing field needs to be equal. We're going to need to do certain things to see certain changes, and so we need to to look at certain things after we deal with the thought, the actual concepts, and that particular mindset. We need to start to change it. It's not normal. It's not normal for, you know what I mean, a young black male to have to get up and say, look, this is the way it's going to go. No, we need to change it. Bermuda needs to change it. It needs to start from the politicians, and it needs to go straight down. Every church leader, every spiritual leader, we need to change the mindset that we have, even to reach them, because the people of purpose. We can't be born from purpose and not have purpose. So we cannot be born from an intentional God and not be intentional to actually fulfill purpose. And so what I want to encourage Bermuda is that each one of us have been made with a purpose. Each one of us was made to fulfill that purpose. It's up to us, to fulfill it.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you. I know you got to go. I know you got to run. Anybody else got anything to say to Bishop Pastor Bean before he leaves? But that was very enlightening.
Very enlightening what Pastor Bean said is the psychological trauma that we've been dealing with that's just been passed on from generation to generation. One of the biggest problems that I see we have in our communities, especially the black community, is communication. The breakdown of communication between father and son, father and daughter, mother and son, mother and daughter, it is very, very big. I mean, we see it even in how we deal with the government, how we see the social aspect. We see how people don't know how to talk with each other to resolve issues. We wait until when the pot is boiling up, and then when we do want to talk, it don't really come out correct. Or if it comes out with anger. It comes out with emotions. It comes out with feelings. And what comes behind all of that is hurt. So then all we have is hurt people hurting people. And that's been something that has been going on for years. And we see it more and more amongst our younger generation, because now we have young kids who've lost either their fathers, their uncles, their brothers, their cousins. So there's a lot of hurt that these kids are dealing with, like he just said, that goes back to the trauma. So they're going to school, the peer pressure in school, having to hear people talk about how the relatives may have been killed. That is trauma that we have never experienced in Bermuda, like so prevalent as it is today. 15, say 20, 30 years ago, if it was one incident that probably took place, or two incidents within that year, we didn't really pay it no attention. But over the years, it has trickled down to where there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 incidents that are happening within the year. So how many families are being affected? And when we start looking at year by year how this goes on, Bermuda's a population of 60-something thousand people. Everyone's being affected. As much as they may not think they're being affected because it's not their loved ones that live in their household that it has happened to, they are still being affected by it. And like Pastor Bean just said, we as a community, we need to start coming together and doing more things. And it's nice to have you, Pastor Bean, here with us, because you are doing things big in the community to try to help save lives, change lives. We're here bringing this man talk to the barbershop to try to also help change lives and save lives. So it's nice to see how we can come together collectively and start being able to embrace getting out there to the community and letting them know what we're trying to do to help assist people, but also bring people together.
Yes.
So thank you again, and let me let you finish off what you have to say before you leave.
Well, in closing, I believe that the Band-Aid syndrome is over. And when I say the Band-Aid syndrome, the things to cover certain things, the surface things are over. Patching up little things to stop a leak, it's over, metaphorically speaking. So we need to go to another level to start to understand, except we start to change the very thought patterns. Thought pattern is really the unspoken word. When you look at logos, when you start to look at it, it means the expressed thoughts of the Father. You know what I mean? So you can start to break it down any way you want, regardless of what you believe. It is, the thought pattern is the seed of the word that's about to come forth. And so if our thought pattern is wrong, everything about us is going to automatically be wrong. Our behavior lines up with our words. It's going to line up with certain things. And so we need to teach our young men. It's a scripture in the Bible that says that every seed, begets after its own kind. In other words, that when we look at fruit, it has a seed in the inside. And so one thing that certain things can lie when it comes to epigenetics or genetics, if your seed's wrong, it will be revealed in the next generation. You can't lie about that. You can sit there and pretend all you want that you're doing this and that, but if that seed is not right, it will only produce after its own kind. And so it's time for us as a people to be responsible for how we conduct ourselves first, because inside of us is going to be a seed that's going to affect somebody else.
I appreciate it. Let me get this other man to go out here before he goes. Come. You perfect timing. Perfect time. I know you weren't expecting this today, but Pastor,
no, not at all.
Nice to see you. Give us something that you just heard.
One of the things that I heard Pastor Bean say is that we, as a people, are dealing with things that we don't understand that have been passed on for generations and generations. The one thing that we all have available to ourselves right now is our own families. And I suggest to you, Bermuda, that you seek out your family. If you're young, seek out your old people. If you're old, seek out your young people. Don't tell them what to do. Tell them how you survived the difficult things. I know in my own story, when I found out about my grandparents and how they survived different things in their life, it made more sense in my own. And that generation to generation thing can be broken because now you have more information. Now, Pastor Bean said a whole lot about generational trauma, and I think what he was trying to say simply is bad things happened to us as a people and as individuals years ago, and they weren't dealt with, they weren't sorted, they weren't addressed, they weren't understood, and then it was passed on to the children and the children and the children and the children. And so we are dealing with things inside of us that we don't understand now. But the best way to break that cycle is to seek out information about your family, seek out information about our past, and learn more and more about yourself, and dive deep into what you are absolutely capable of. I assure you today, you was created for so much. You were created for purpose. You were created for power. You were created to change every situation in your life. But understand this, some things is an individual thing and some things is a collective thing. So I want to just take 2 seconds to give a shout out to our government, because I know they take a lot of stick. But the corporate tax, that's good. Universal health care, that's coming, that's good. But we need to keep supporting them, because remember what happened the last time when we didn't support them. They wrote blank checks so that they could fund and sponsor whatever they wanted to. And then they said when we needed money for education, money don't grow on trees. So just remember that, Bermuda, in this time, that you got to support the people. We ain't perfect. Our people ain't perfect. But we've planted good seeds. We've planted good seeds all over our island. There's plenty of good seeds growing, and plenty of good seeds are going to bear good fruit.
Give me something for this young man that are watching this.
Young man, let me tell you this here. You are more than what anyone else tells you. You are more than what you even understand about yourself. If you believe in God, then you believe in yourself. Trust God, and you will find out that God will do exceedingly and abundantly above what you could ask or think. That is, God will do for you more than you could even ever imagine. But you need to trust God, because there is some God in you. There is some holiness in you. There is some power in you. Yes, sir. Brother Trevor, I appreciate being a part of the conversation today. God bless you, Bermuda. Have a safe and good weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Bless you. Yes, sir. Kendrick,
Yes,
we can do a little bit of dialogue for.
we can do an open. We can do some dialogue until we see more people that are coming to the barbershop. People, we also have recidivism that's also on this agenda, on this topic with today. Why is it that we see so many of our males that leave from being incarcerated, come into society, and find themselves challenged so much that prison becomes society and society becomes prison?
The numbers are down. I checked. The numbers
Yes,
are down. So
that's good to her.
That
So-
is changed. What we have now is we have a larger population of inmates that are serving life. We have a very large,
Yes.
and that has never. It's getting worse.
That's the
and it's
bigger
never.
problem.
That's the picture right there.
That's
So
the bigger problem.
How do we stop these guys from making them bad decisions to cause them to get life in prison? Not all of them are guilty that are up escape.
Very true.
Okay? Not all of them are guilty.
Yes. There has been a lot of, I can say from my own experience, what I've seen for myself, what we have that I think is creating a problem is that we have a system that is called corrections, but is it really correcting? Is it really preparing people to come out into society and become productive, and also be able to see themselves going forward without having their past to be always held or hanging over their head with everything they do? I mean, we have at least almost 45% of the population that is serving life in prison. 45% of a population that is serving life. And that is averaging doing at least 15 years before they can be possibly entitled to go up before the parole board to be asked to be released back into society, which they can be on parole for the rest of their lives. What is a deterrent to stop seeing our young men going up into this prison for murder and different other crimes that are making them serve life in prison? It's a problem. I mean, it's a question that we all ask ourselves. Do I have the answer? Does Trevor have the answer? None of us don't really have this answer, because it has become such a big problem that there are so much other factors contributing towards what are making people just want to give up on life and give up on a chance or opportunity within themselves. Love is one thing that is missing amongst a lot of our young men. I can speak that from experience. You know, we as young men, we as men, we don't really see giving a hug to another man as love. We see it as, something's wrong if I give a man a hug. I got to be, of a different sex if I'm going to do that. No, that's not the case. Giving a person a hug is rubbing off energy. It's sharing energy, and it's also helping to make someone feel appreciated and of value. I saw a young man the other day, and I know he's dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of trauma and stuff like that. And I looked at his face. His expression on his face showed so much anger, but also so much hurt. And what I done was I called him over to me. I said, "Hey, man, give me a hug." He stood there and froze because the fact that I asked him, let me give him a hug, he didn't know how to react. And when I gave him a hug, I gave him a firm hug. And I could feel him just trembling within giving him a hug. But I said, I wonder has anybody ever even gave this young man a hug before? So I encourage, it don't have to be your own children. But please, we need to start showing our younger children love. Embrace them, give them a hug.
I would always say I would agree with partially because, my brethren, we hug and we embrace and we say we love one another. You know what I mean? And it's genuine and it's real because of what we've been through. But I would always say, as the Lord leads, hear that voice and be obedient when he tells you. Go and approach that person. You know what I mean? But Pastor, come here real quick. You've heard a little bit of the dialogue. And, your thoughts?
Well, as Pastor Bean was saying in relation to the mindset, prior to him saying that, I was thinking about the scripture in the book of Proverbs. It says, as a man thinketh, so is he, and as a man speaketh, so is he. So what we have today in relation to many of our young men in particular who's acting out with this antisocial behavior is because of a mindset. And obviously Pastor Bean had placed on the speech in relation to the gene pool and these sins of the father passed on to the third and fourth generation. So all these things are true factors because years ago we could see Bermuda had a wonderful, loving family structure to the degree that it was really good, and it's eroded, it's eradicated. Where did we drop that ball? I cannot definitively say, other than it became a different mindset. The approach to violence, the approach to dealing with issues has become such that people, according to the scripture, says what is wrong to you might be right to me. What's right to me may be wrong to you. And so there's no absolutes. And of course, as a pastor and as a Bible man, that's where I'm going to come from. That's what changed my life. Growing up as a young child, prior to giving my life to Jesus Christ at 17, I was very angry. I had a bad temper to the degree that had not God changed my life, I perhaps could see myself acting in an antisocial way. Now I had restraint within reason, but when I felt like I was being taken advantage of or you wronged me, I felt it was my right to get back you with that same mindset of violence. But the Lord changed me, and I'm sort of grateful for that. But again, with our young man, and as has been said, there is still hope. There is still purpose for everybody. But the persons themselves have to want it enough where they could be able to go to the various places where they could seek help, because they are responsible for their actions and they need mental help. Now, people rightly would try to defend themselves when someone's trying to hurt them. But many of them have gotten to the gangs. Why? I can't say. I don't know the total answer. There's obviously breakdowns in families. In some homes today, there's not mother and father. There's just mother or grandmother. Or in some cases, the daddy is not in the picture. And as a result, you've had 3 generations in jail or in prison. You had the grandfather, you had the son, and then you had the son. You know what I mean? So there's father, grandfather, the father of that boy who's in jail. There's 3 generations right there. So mindset, and it needs to be changed, and it needs to be what you term a paradigm shift. And if there's not a paradigm shift, then they're going to continue with that same violent behavior, violent attitude and mindset of thinking that they have a right to do what they do while they do it. And it's going to take the Lord to change that heart so there could come love, there could come acceptance, and there could come forgiveness. And that is void of a lot of our young men today. They actually, there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about that it is for the evil intentions of wicked men in their hearts. They sit on their bed plotting to do evil continually. And this is the generation that we're in. They're plotting in their minds in relation to getting retaliation against someone who done their friend or someone wrong. So it just keeps revolving like that, vicious cycle. And it's only going to be God. It's only be God to deliver the person. But there are persons and individuals on both sides of these gangs, or however many there are. I had a young man one time ask my son, says, "Where are you from?" And my son said, "I'm from Bermuda." And right there, it diffused it, because he was letting them know, I'm of Bermuda. I'm not of any particular parish or persuasion. My mindset is not geared up to say, I'm from here. As a result, I'm from Bermuda. And we are Bermudians. And what we need to do is change that mindset so there could be a paradigm shift.
Appreciate that, Pastor.
Yeah.
My goal, or what I would really love, is for us to get back to how Bermuda used to be.
Yeah.
This. You come from town, you can't go as far as, or you can't get caught going through Ordred or going to work or going west.
It's sad.
It's crazy for this small island. You know what I mean? I would have never thought that we'll see this.
Me neither.
So
I
don't know what it's going to take, but we need to get back to, and it's going to take the whole community, the whole family.
Right.
I like what the other pastor said earlier about. I went to a funeral today.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard one young lady spoke about families need to come back together.
True.
We need to get out of this I, do we.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There is
friend reunions, picnics.
There is a
functions,
family, right?
Games nights and all
Right.
that.
There is I know of at least 2 cases where the only child, there's an only child, I don't know what the reason behind that is, not speaking to their mother.
Well, unbelievable.
And this person has a grandchild, and the grandmother has never seen
Her
her grandchild. I wouldn't say which what it is.
It's ridiculous.
And there's
It shouldn't be like that, though. It's not. It's
I
not
couldn't
right.
figure
It's not
what
right.
could be so
Devastating.
that you could resort to saying,
I'm not speaking to you.
I'm not going to speak to you, and I'm not going to let my grandchild see you, and the granddaughter, the grandson, I'm not going to let them see you.
We all have different disagreements. We all have
Yeah.
disagreements.
Well, the saying is,
You know.
we not all agree, but we don't all have to be disagreeable.
That's right. That's right.
Because even people have an opinion, but we don't have to be opinionated. That's a whole difference. Because my opinion then supersedes yours, or yours doesn't mean nothing. In that sense, but it should mean something. Your value, I should hear it out, even if I don't agree. We still shouldn't have to be disagreeable. We still should be able to get along. But that's again a paradigm shift in the mind, and if it's not there, then you can have issues, have trouble.
So another thing I want to talk about, you can, if you want, you can
Yeah.
deal with your client.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to talk about is we have a housing crisis. I just spoke to a brother that was outside just before I came in. He's been given 3 months to find another apartment. and I know a few pieces. I talked to a guy last night that's staying with a family member because of the place where he was. Someone came back from overseas, and the landlord was giving it to their family member. We have a housing crisis. The premier spoke of something this week about a new initiative, but I don't know if that's going to fix it overnight, because what that initiative is about, I see it a couple of years down the road. But how do we fix the housing crisis? I don't know. Anybody want to say anything about that? We have a serious housing crisis. You want to say something?
I can say it. All right. At this time, Trevor, it's not easy out there, for housing. Just about 15 minutes ago, my landlord called me, asking me about moving. We got a notice maybe about 5-6 months ago, and trying very hard to find somewhere suitable, somewhere that fits our budget, and it's really not easy. Found a couple of places, and the rent is just so expensive. It just doesn't make any sense that we're going to take it, and then later on down the line we cannot afford or sustain the rent, and then we and the landlord having problem. And I think that is a part of what is happening here in Bermuda right now, because it's very tough out there on everybody. And I honestly believe that if some of the landlords would set their rent price at a price that they know that the tenant can afford to pay, but it's gone out of reach, in which it's very hard on people to live. I do understand some people at this time, their house is there locked up, and they're bent their mind that, hey, look, I am not going to rent my place anymore, so I'm going to lock it up and let it stay. And I understand their situation, right? I do understand. And I have never, or me and my wife have never hold a rent within 20 odd years since we are living here. We never hold nobody. We never come out. Well, this is the second place that we live within the time we live here in Bermuda, and we never come out of apartment and left it messed up or anything. So I understand that a lot of people, when they move out of the landlord house, it messed up, and sometimes it costs the people more money to fix back that than the rent that they paid. So I do understand their situation, but just to set the rent that people can pay their rent steady, and to be more sure of getting their rent than not to be sure, wondering how am I going to pay the rent this month, and how the landlord going to get their money. So I do believe that they should really look into have their rent set at a decent fee where people can afford to pay it. The next thing, I was puzzled when I couldn't find anywhere. And I said, a lot of Bermudan had left Bermuda, gone to England. Where are the housing? So I started to investigate. Over 400 Airbnb in Bermuda. So where are people going to live? It's a crisis. It's a crisis, and it's a serious crisis, and I hope the government look into it. Not just for expat, but for Bermudian. And if they can't find nowhere to live, it's going to, it is a serious situation. You know what I mean? So I hope, you know, things change, and I do hope things change for the better, not for the worse, because, yeah, it's hard, and I have to move from where I have to live, not because of.
So if you got someone that's watching right now,
Yeah.
that landlord, how do they get make contact with you? You put it out there, so
Yes.
how can you be reached?
Well, my number is 591-6890. Yes, and I'm looking for a 2-bedroom. I locate somewhere,
range?
you know,
What's your
they just to call me back, you know,
What's your range you're looking at?
1700-1800.
Okay.
You know, that is comfortable for me to pay.
You and your wife.
Yes. So, you know, anybody,
There you go.
just give me a call.
You have not because you asked not to.
That is true. That is true.
So we'll put it out there,
You know.
and we hope that someone can assist.
Yeah.
I mean, rent used to be $1,000 a 1-bedroom apartment. No more than $2,000 a 2-bedroom, $3,000. But now you got 2-bedroom apartments at $3,500.
2005.
You know, no, go a little higher. Go a little higher.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
1 bedroom is even higher sometimes.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen 1
you know.
bedroom for 3,000 something.
You know,
It make me wonder,
back
is it gold in the house?
back before, you know. Anyway, I'm not even gonna go there because that would open up a whole can of worms. And then again, like someone is saying, there's a lot of derelict buildings, and it is. But see, what it is families that are fighting over that you know, mom had died, or papa had died, or daddy had died, and you got 5 or 6 children, and they're fighting over that property. So the property sits there and rots. Look at the amount of properties that we have around this island right now that are sitting there derelict, and this person just said it.
Why not all just come together? All just come together.
Family,
Right.
they want money.
Come together,
Money.
fix it every month.
Money is the issue.
Yes, but they will get the money.
So, yeah.
They will get the money because if they fix it, somebody move in, that rent will go every month in somebody else's account.
Right,
Finish
right.
job.
Right.
But one person want it all. It can't be like that.
I don't say one person. I just think that, you know, greed. We got a little greedy.
Well,
You know, we got greed in this little island, and we forgot about the basic things, and we started to rush up the almighty dollar.
oh Lord, I tell you.
So, you know, we need to come back.
Yeah, we need it. We need the
Come back
dollar,
down.
but sometimes
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just gone. It's gone out of hand. Gone out of hand.
Yeah. Brother Dennis. No, Brother Dennis is sticky wicky right now. Okay. Come in, bruh.
Yeah.
Come in. Have a talk. Say something to me.
Yeah, good afternoon. My personal opinion, I think Bermuda is a very expensive place to live. But if you decide, if you're willing to work hard, you can really make it. But you got to do 2, 3, 4 jobs. And I think the housing situation is not perfect. But I think Housing Corporation, I got to give them kudos because I think they're doing a good job fixing up all these houses, and their rent are pretty reasonable. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I think they're doing a good job. I mean, you can go to Housing Corporation, you can get a 2-bedroom house for $1,400. Yeah, but you got to and they're good places, livable, very comfortable. Yeah. So things is not perfect, but I think they're doing a good job. It's my personal opinion. Yeah. Thanks. That's all I had to say, man.
Yeah. One more thing, because I was just reading this person's comments. And we're getting some good comments, so keep giving us ideas, and I'll put it out there. Someone said that we have a lot of vacant hotels, structures that can be, you know, some of the hotels and structures that we have around here that can be between the owners of the hotel properties and government or Bermuda Housing Corporation. They can come to some type of agreement. So they fix it up and make it rooms for individuals. Make accommodations for individuals. It's a win-win for everybody. The consumer, the person that's looking for somewhere to stay, the hotel owner, and the Bermuda Housing Association or government. So that's some good ideas. Keep those ideas coming. Dennis, come in. Come in.
I just want to say,
Turn to the camera.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I go back quite a few moons or suns, if you want to put it that way. I've watched the evolution of the island over the years. I've been out on the street. In fact, I made a statement here a couple of days ago, I think it was, that I don't think it's anybody on the street right now that's been out here longer than I. On this street, this Court Street, and I'm not. It's no boasting that, other than the fact that, from a standpoint of experience and knowing this segment of the community, I've been out here a long time, since the early '50s. So, but having said that, I've heard a lot of subjects hit on, including a well-known politician that at one point said the young black man is a problem, and here even this afternoon I've heard issues raised about the black man and this and that and that and that, and it all poses other questions, layers stuff on top of stuff. That's what it really does. I remember, I'm going to set the stage because I'm going to take my time and say this. I remember one time, and I grew up in the church, but I ended up following teachings of Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Malcolm X for a while. Got involved in a lot of political stuff, and I went to jail. I'll make a couple of long stories short. Maybe another time we do another interview. But one of the issues that came up was that the white man came from the black man's balls. He is a grafted man. He is the pig of the earth. He is the scum of the earth. He is a cave dweller. Came from the mountains of Europe, Caucasians, and da-da-da-da-da. And I asked this guy, I said to him, did you say the white man came from the black man? He said, yeah, Beanie, you didn't know that? Brother, let me tell you. And he went on some more stuff about where the white man came from in terms of his relationship to the black man. So I asked him a very interesting question, and in light of what was been discussed earlier, one of the reasons why I didn't want to say too much was because some things I say conflicts with what other guys hold dear to their heart. And this is the crux of the issue right here. I said, you say the white man came from the black man. He said, yeah, the white man came from. I said, well, how is he a black man? How is he a white man? Excuse me. If the white man came from the black man, how is he a white man? And he spun around on his heels and walked off and left me standing there just like that. And so it depends on how we filter information that we get. It depends on how we filter information get, the extent to which we'll take what it is, what could possibly be our convictions and our beliefs. Let me say this to you. The scriptures say, and I heard somebody quote scripture earlier, and I'm a scripture man. The scriptures in Acts chapter 7, it says, God made of all nations one blood for to dwell on the face of the earth. If I understand scripture correctly, and God made first male and female, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, not Eve and Yvette, Adam and Eve, male and female. And so what happens is oftentimes we take and twist stuff that coincides with our comfort zone. And if we believe that we all came from the same source, then we have to make sure that we begin again to embrace that source. Unfortunately, we've left God out of a lot of stuff. We just use him as a prop man, as a stagehand, as a backdoor person, somebody we call on whenever we're in so-called trouble. But we don't really take God seriously. And I say that there because this island, not any different from anywhere else, but I'm talking about this island, is corrupt. I'm talking about from the head of government all the way down. It's corrupt. It's just corrupt. And only one person can correct that, and that's God. Your relationship, your personal relationship with God corrects that. I had mentioned to you just now that I lived on the street. I came off the street. I'm out here for donkey years, and I'm still here. 2024, going into 2025, I'm still here. And I'm saying that to you to say that until God changed my way, I was prone to do the same thing over and over again too. I was in jail one time writing a little passage, a little poem. And in the poem, I kept mentioning the fact that every time I went out, I saw the same guys, and new guys had joined. And some of the old guys had left, either going to jail, going overseas, or whatever. But I was there also. I had to break that cycle. I made up my mind that when I came out of jail this last time or whatever, I'm not going on Court Street no more. And there's a responsibility that we have to break this cycle, man. It's time to get off the stage. That's all it is. And it's also time to stop blaming the white man for everything. We gave him too much damn credit. We give the man credit for everything. Everything that goes right, everything that goes wrong, the white man, the white man, the white man. And then conversely, it's the same thing. Everything that could go horrible, it's the black man, the black man, the black man. It's got a problem, got a problem, got a problem. We all got problems. In the final analysis, it's not skin. It's sin, buddy. It's not skin. It's sin. And there's a need for a change of mindset. That's why I didn't want to jump in what God's saying, because in the United States, if you listen to the American media, all the time all you hear is black and white, black and white, black and white. It's enough to drive you crazy. Nobody wants to take responsibility for what they're doing as individual responsibility. There's a point at which you're going to be held accountable for what you say and what you do. And there's a point at which your children, even as they grow now, they're checking you and what you're saying and what you're doing and how you're conducting yourself in front of them. And so if you're sending out conflicting ideas and conflicting opinions, then that's what's going to carry at the end of the day. So your child's going to end up pants down around their tail, flipping girls walking around like the man. Everybody wants to gun shoot somebody. Everybody wants to stab somebody and blame somebody else for it, or blame some generational curses for this, that, and the other. It's a point at which you break the curse. You got to break the curse, man. And our political leaders, unfortunately, the men, women, just like everybody else, they have their problems. The scriptures say this: where there is no vision, the people perish. And what happens is, oftentimes, when you approach some of these people that are currently in position with vision, they shut you down, or they carry a portion of it, and they see to it that like it's a line drawn or a ceiling there where they won't allow you to go beyond that. I'll draw you a reference real quick. The old casemates prison. I wrote a plan for the old casemates prison, which would benefit the whole island, especially the guys that are up there in jail. The whole idea of the guys that are in the new prison was to create textiles. In other words, they'll be able to make jail clothes, whatever. The old casemates prison, it would be like a B&B. A skirt, part of it was skirt straight. I've got the document. Next time I see it, I'll give it to you. I'll show it to you. But it had to do with the guys that are out on the street now sitting on type of trash cans, not finding employment. You take them up there and you give them employment to upgrade that whole facility up there. Let them shine the brass, cut the grass, whatever's necessary to be done up there. You give them a room where they can shower. You give them an allowance at the end of the week where they can go and hang out like everybody else. Everybody just needs money in a pocket. They need employment. But if there's no vision, the people are going to perish. So when I dropped this on the West End Development Corporation, they took and shafted it. It had nothing to do with it. So I'm still got it on paperwork. Let me hit one other point. Harbor Nights on Front Street. That's my vision. That didn't come from white man. That didn't come from black man. You can call me black man, that's fine. You white man, fine. It doesn't bother me. But that was a vision that was handed down to me, and I offloaded it on somebody. We had a business out here on Court Street out here that wasn't doing any good. So I said we need one night a week on Front Street. Just one night a week. At that time, all the stores in Front Street were closed at 5:30, 6 o'clock. All the business was shut down. Getting ready for the tourists to go to the restaurants to get something to eat, or come in town to see a movie or see a show at 40 Thieves or whatever. And I said we need one night a week on Front Street so that all of our small business, people do sand art, make cedar boxes and so forth, can put their business, their wares on display on there and get some of that American money. And we got that. The unfortunate thing is that the businesses down on Front Street began to open up themselves. So now they were competing with the small businessmen. So they're itself created conflict, and then they started to charge people for vending it had nothing to do with charging for vending, because if you charge me $50 a night, I don't want to take more. If you charge me $50 a night down there, and I'm not even making 50, you know what I mean? The whole idea was to promote some sort of business. One other thing, Small Business Development Corporation. You want to go there, I can go there. All those guys making be anywhere between $120 and $180,000 a month, a year, off an institution that I started again. You understand? And I'm saying, all right, Lord,
You started it.
challenge anybody.
You got proof to show me.
You understand? Okay, so
challenge you. You got proof to
so yeah. The proof is in the pudding. I want you to hear it. I set up a small business corporation. We guys go way back to Admiralty House. A group of us met up at Admiralty House. They're small businessmen because they had the hotels and everybody started to build and stuff like that. And what happened? We had tradesmen that were already here but couldn't find employment. So we put a stop on it, almost like the union line there, which is another shenanigan. We'll talk about that another time. But we put a buffer in place that in order for the owners of these new businesses to come in the island and do something, they had to talk to us first to make sure that we didn't have the personnel, the clientele that were qualified to do the job. That's how the small business development ended up developing into what it is now. We set up the North Hamilton community back here under the same auspices to prevent Bermudians from losing employment and everything else. Last but not least, and I close on this for sure, because I can go on and on. We're talking about rents and stuff. Well, I came from a generation where a month's rent was equal to 1 week's pay. Was equal to 1 week's pay. You understand? And we end up getting scalped because it can still be the same way. Your 1 month's rent could be equal to 1 week's pay. I heard somebody say just now, $1,400, $1,800, $2,000, whatever. But the reality is that the landlords do not have to charge much. Unfortunately, the cost of building and development is going straight through the roof because of the bigger companies and corporations, whether it be the major construction firms or the banks. They're all in on it. And so they keep everybody shut down. Even the damn union line that doesn't have a response to it properly. They're talking about what is livable wage and all that. Nobody really wants to talk. Nobody really wants to talk honest. You know what I mean? And there's no reason why one bag of groceries should cost you $100. So if you got marketplace right now, $100 will disappear on you just like that. And if you got children, you got to get them to the nursery. It's cost you $200, maybe $300 a week for a child. When what you can really afford is just about $50. I close by saying this. I want to do another interview with you. I really don't. This is sort of like spur of the moment. But I really would like to do another interview where I can just lay it out with all the paperwork I've got. You want evidence? All the paperwork or stuff where I met with Roger Sherrod on City Hall steps and asked for one night a week down on Front Street, and we got it. I'd like to show the paperwork where we met after the small business. We set up the Small Business Development Corporation. We helped set that up. With the hustle truck, the same thing. Not just myself alone, but I'm key in that. The alternative to incarceration, I'm key in that. We had the translational house up here outside from Casemate Prison. I'm key in that. Early because I had been there myself, and I was constantly trying to find a way to keep myself out of trouble. So in trying to keep myself out of trouble, I'm in a jailhouse, got 150 guys, where everybody needs to stay out of trouble. And the only way you could do is to set up a business and see if you could bring these guys in and sort of carry the ball at some point. So at some point we'll talk some more, but there definitely needs to be a change in the guard, a clear insight into where we're going forward from here. Thanks for this moment.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Dennis Bean, the views and everything you've heard. I got to separate TNN from what you've heard. It's the views and of the individuals that have spoken, and them alone. I was going to say, about Westgate, because there's a lot of inmates up there that are doing nothing. These guys are sitting around doing time. I remember when we used to have every May they had the art show, the exhibition, not at Botanical Gardens, down at St. George. And these guys would have the best of posters, best of cedar boxes, best of roses, best of clocks that were first class. And that's something that worked in the prison. And they can bring it back. They can bring it back.
In conjunction with what you're saying, in fact, I'm a very strong advocate of when I grew up. We had Pad and Hobby show at Central School, and other schools had it, Francis Patton, wherever. And I'm a strong, staunch advocate of reintroducing the Pad and Hobby show. One of the reasons the Pad and Hobby show was particularly popular because back then, racism being what it was, you only went to the agricultural exhibition to see other people's stuff. But at the Pad and Hobby show, the guys in the neighborhood bought their own rabbit, their own chicken, their own flowers, their own pigeons, and all this sort of thing here. And these were done within the confines of the schools. The various schools did it. And I'm saying, if we could just implement that again, having Pad and Hobby show in the various schools across the island, and then have a final competition. We got to be growing corn, and flowers, whatever, the whole 9 yards. It was really something to see. And unfortunately, the young folk right now, they haven't been exposed to none of that. And it is unfortunate. We need to do something about it. And I'm prepared to help.
Yes, sir.
And let me add in on that. I just saw something last week where the government is doing community gardening, and they're looking at throughout the island people signing up, communities even signing up, and putting their gardens together, and they're looking at giving prizes for those who very much, have some of the best fruits and vegetables that they're producing within the garden. So to, piggyback on what he was saying, it's nice to see that the government is even looking into them different creative ideas on trying to bring people together to want to get more community oriented with helping out in gardening and stuff like that. Yeah. We do have another brother that's right there with you.
Yeah, he can come in. We got time. I see when to get this message across about up in the prison, because I've been there. A few of us have been to jail. Okay, and we're in a nice place. I mean, for me, I was a cook. I worked in the kitchen. I was the assistant cook, and that's where I done my time. I ran every day around that field, but I made time work for me, and I made sure that I wasn't going to go back. And I went maybe twice, 3 times. But they were in 10-year increments. Okay, so I went 1 year, 10 years later. Okay, but that's through some circumstances or bad choices. But I watched how some of those guys were so creative in making cedar tables and jury boxes, like I said. I mean,
awesome.
Kept these guys' mind in a good space. And I don't see why these guys should be up at Westgate serving all the time doing nothing, no programs. We need to get some more programs. They have some programs there, but they need to bring back the programs that made the jail work before. Yeah. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just bring back the programs that work. There's still got some good teachers out there that want to give back. Some retired teachers that are retired carpenters, retired school teachers that want to give back to the prisons. Yeah. So let's talk about it.
And then the other thing that we have here is I was just looking at the paper and I saw in the paper. I saw it's my godson and his stepfather's here, Daniel Augustus. I mean, his mother and father and everybody pushed him straight along through to where he is today. But that's without any real help, if you understand what I mean. We have people out there that are really excelling in a lot of areas, and the local government, everybody else wants to take credit once they've reached a certain plateau, but they don't help them along the way. Don't give them any real significant help along the way. And that poses another challenge. That's why you have the Clarence Hills. The other day, this brother Roy Johnson passed. Yeah. Another one. You've got Diesel. Diesel used to box. All these guys Peter Smith. A lot of these guys used to box and get involved in a lot of things, but they don't have the undergirding, the people behind them to really take them to the level that they need to go. And these are just some other little issues that we can talk about all day, but that need to be addressed.
Just went about prison. Trevor, to be honest, talking about prison, a lot of these young men that in case made in prison should not be in prison. Westgate should not be in prison. Prison was made for hardcore criminals, murderers, rapers, and all those things. I see guys going to prison for minor traffic offense. That's madness. Misdemeanor. So the system make a lot of criminal out of these young men. To be honest, my honest opinion. Right? A lot of these guys should have not been in prison. I mean, it's not like traffic. I see one time I went to the court, right? And the courtroom was full with all these guys. Traffic offense. The judge sit up down there. Me, $500, $600, $1,000. Nobody asks these young men if they got a job. Nobody. Right? You can't treat people like that. You gotta ask them if they're working. Can you afford the fine? Sometimes the one fine they have in the pockets for the young baby, for the girlfriend. You got to take it and pay the system. Right? You can't treat people like that. Find out if you have a job. Can you pay the fine?
At the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
Hold on, but I want to say at the same time that a lot of these guys don't have license. I mean, you know, when I was 16, I got my license. What is so hard to go and get your license? If you don't have license, you're breaking the law.
Yeah, but
abide by the law. Abide by the law. If you abide by the law, you can avoid some of these situations.
I understand that, but don't make criminal out of.
Okay. So look, let me give you. I done 10 straight years. I had 17 years. Hear me out. I had 17 years off the road. I done 10 straight years from 1983 to 1993. I done 10 straight years off the road. I didn't stop. I didn't stop riding. Okay. I had a DT. I had a big black mass helmet, and I ran putting on my helmet, my bike. Okay. I knew what I was doing, but I had to suffer the consequences. I got locked up for riding while disqualified. Okay, so you gotta.
Well, yes, but young people will make mistakes.
No. I was young.
Yeah.
And I didn't care.
Yeah,
so when I became a man, I put away childish things. But rather used to say, if you don't do the crime,
but everybody
do the time.
No,
it's not mistake. It's choices. It's choices that we make. So I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to babyfy some of these boys, some of these young men. You're making bad choices, and these are the consequences. That's it.
True.
I can't side with what you're saying.
Then the next thing again, we're talking about guys sitting on the street, sitting on the wall. Where I came from, I sit on walls.
Yeah.
Everybody sit on walls.
Yeah.
It's not because you see a guy sit on the street, you think the guy into illicit activity. The guy could have a job. Come on and cool out with his mates then.
Nobody can rough him up.
Yeah.
The police don't just rough you up because you're sitting on the wall.
Yeah, but I mean, I said people stigmatize people just before you out there. They saw you with a group of people sitting on the wall. The first thought you into
I don't even what
something.
People say. I know where I come from. Sometimes I come back around the wood and I
sure.
check out my boys where I came from.
I'm talking how the system.
Yeah.
You see, you're sitting there. I'm a grown man. I sit on wall where I came from. People sit on wall. People go check their mates when they finish work. Yeah.
Come on.
Who you sit with, not you. From you in your heart, you're not doing no illicit thing. You sit and hang out with your mates, them. Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. So that's all I'd say, man.
Bobby, what's that? We got Bobby in the house.
Good evening, people.
I don't know where this mic going because you're gonna take a few minutes. I know.
Oh, so everybody this
Man likes to talk.
I do. So I'm just coming here not too long ago. You know, I'm heard some things. The first thing I want to address is him and how we're being raised today. We're not being raised with structure. We're not being taught any spiritual principles. Now, even though I took the wrong path later on in life, I didn't have no choice as to whether I'm going to church or Sunday school. I didn't have no say in the matter. Right? My granny made me go, whether I wanted to or not. And if she had to give me some licks to help me understand, like, this is what's happening today, that's what it was. Today, these kids have got devices, they got too much choices, they got too much freedom, and they're not getting no investment from their parents. So when they get 8, 11, and 13, what do we expect them to do when they're used to doing whatever they want on their own? Remember, these are still growing minds, not growing minds, they're still growing. They don't understand life yet, they don't know life yet. And here we are, because we don't feel like being bothered, because this is child number 3. For guy number 3, look, take that and go that way. What you want that kid to? So the thing is, right, who is going to be held accountable? Who? We could talk about the government, we could talk about the white man, we could talk about the system, then we could talk about us. Because it starts at him. So anybody that's doing anything to our kids, it's us first. But do we willing to admit that? Are we willing to accept that? Like, really? Are we? Even though I was born and raised on TOC, I chose to go down Court Street. As much as my granny was taking me to church, I chose, when I got up here, you can't tell me what to do. No. That didn't have nothing to do with the white man. That didn't have nothing to do with the system. That didn't have nothing to do with government. So, although we may feel like some things are too harsh, right? When we get to a place in life where we're going to decide to pick up a gun and shoot, that means we're to a place in life where we have made a choice whether we want to sit and investigate for the rest of our lives. I don't defend anybody shooting anybody else. I don't defend that. I ain't no angel. I'm done a lot of wrong, but now I'm a man and I strive to do better because I've learned from my past mistakes, and I had to learn a lot of lessons and hard lessons too. And some of them was very, very lonely. I have been to prison and seen the hardest of the hardest cry, but they ain't gonna let you know because everybody comes out of the cell with their game face on. We guys know this, what's in it? You want to stay up all night and talk. They're not caring the world, but you got 10 years to do later and get some rest. But you can't handle being in that room by yourself. So you want to keep everybody else up. One thing I learned about Westgate, it says Westgate Correctional. It never says welcome. I chose to go there 8 different times. Whose fault is that? The first time you could say, okay, well, maybe you'll learn from this experience. No, I didn't. Because I chose not to learn. Oh, that fellow fits, it didn't fall on nobody else. It didn't fall on the fact that I didn't have no daddy. It didn't fall on the fact that mama weren't to order. We have to let that go, mate. Okay? Because you don't go Westgate at 13 years old, because you're still a kid. When you go Westgate, you're a man. This is on you, boy. This is all on you. So the thing is, if we don't want to be honest with us, what are we really talking about? We could go on the more Barbershop all day long talking about the system and the government and this and that. Let me tell you something. Some of my best friends are white. It's the skin color, not the person. Okay? I'm not going to say that I don't like white people. I love people, period. Even if they was pink, I would love them. I'm not into all that. Okay? I'm not into all that. I'm not brainwashed anymore. At one point, I was brainwashed. I'm going to throw this out there. Most of us, black people, or people of color, whichever suits you, vote for PLP only because it's a black party. Show me 10 reasons why you vote for PLP because of what they've done for you. And show me 10 reasons why you wouldn't vote for ABA. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, none of us could expect any government, no matter who it is, to satisfy us completely. That's never going to happen. In a real world, that doesn't work. Okay? The decision makers are the guys with the purse. He could be green, he could be yellow, he could be pink, whatever. He could look like a damn leopard. If he's got the purse, he calls the shots. And when we understand that, we'll be more accepting of what it is. But at the end of the day, we have to come together, right? As black men, and I say that because I'm a black man, and we have to step up our game. Because if you can find energy to point the finger, and you can find energy to blame, you can find energy to find a solution. Because that's what this is all about, looking for solutions. We just had a shooting the other day. Whose fault is that? Did the white guy tell you, go shoot that guy? Did the government tell you, go shoot that guy? Did the system, come on. At the end of the day, we have to stop that stuff from so many years ago. Because it keeps us stuck. And you know what we do as grown men? We teach our children to be stuck. That's what we do. You see these guys of a lighter color, you know what they do? They're sitting their son down and saying, listen, no, Daddy's at this business for 30 years. I need you to do the right thing so you can keep it for another 30. What is our fathers doing? Our places right now is Friday night. Huh? He ain't going in to make sure that you're him or to make sure that wife is all right. It's out here. We have programmed ourselves and trying to blame it on somebody else. Why don't we say, well, you know what, it's Friday night. Let me take the family out and sit them down and give them a couple of scriptures or something like that. Why we can't instill some spirituality in our kids? I had a father that wanted to get high with me. That's the only time I could spend with him. His fault was dead. You can't blame the system for that. If I wanted to see my dad, I'm going to come and rob you. To go get some cocaine, to go smoke with him so he could get his time. So you can't come to me with the system, the government, or the white man. That's foolishness. It's time we start taking some accountability, because until we do, we ain't getting nowhere. Nowhere at all. We'll teach our children everything. Why you going to sit up and smoke weed with your boy and have a shot of Hennessy with your boy? And then you expect him to be a productive husband to somebody's daughter. Are you serious? Hey, come on. What are we doing? Don't come to me, tell me none of that foolishness about no system, no white man, and no government. Don't come to me and say, look, boy, I'm got an idea how we could reach some of these youth. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. It doesn't have to be your son for you to give your time. It doesn't have to be your son for you to give your energy, your support. Let's talk about that. If we ain't talking about that, we ain't talking at all. We're not. We're really not. And how many of us really want to get real? How many of us? I'm a man been on drugs all his life. Just up 10 years ago. But I see where I went wrong, you know. Nobody made me do nothing. I chose. And that's one of the greatest things that man have, right? It's the power of choice. Okay? That's the most powerful thing that God gave man, was the power of choice. Now, if he was to rethink it, I don't know, he might scratch his head and say, I don't know, boy. I gave you boys, and you boys know what to do with it. So let me think for you. But no, he gave us the power of choice. And what we do with that? We make all the wrong choices, and when we put our wrong choices on somebody else. I don't do that no more. Once upon a time I did. And I'm man enough to earn my stuff. Because I'm grand. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody, but I'm better off today than I was yesterday. You understand what I'm saying? I never pretend to be better than anybody. I'm just better off today than I was yesterday. I make better choices today than I did yesterday. I don't have to depend on anything to come in here and have a conversation today. I just give thanks and praise that God gave me the strength to come here and have a conversation. You know, I don't claim to say that I'm clean, I'm doing this. I always surrender to the God that I believe in, because I know without God leading me, I'm lost. It's as simple as that. I'm completely lost. You know what I mean? And the thing is, what we have to do, before we go anywhere else, what we have to do is surrender to God and let him lead us. Because we can't lead ourselves. It's as simple as that. And we could talk about any and everything. We have an incident now going on in the middle schools where you got a young kid selling edibles. A young kid is selling edibles. Let's talk about this now. For one, this boy selling an edible, he knows, at least he thinks he knows, that it can do something for you. Because of probably what it's been told, or probably what it's seen on social media or something, but he knows that these edibles do something for you. Where did he get it from? What responsible action has the parents taken in regard to this matter? There's another little kid that was taken to the hospital because of this. Okay? What I'm saying is, both of these kids need us adults to guide and protect them. Okay? This is not about looking for a way to punish. What we need to do is help them understand to make better choices. Okay? That's what this is about. And to show you how lost our young kids are, some kids had absolutely zero remorse for this little kid. Because of how they view her. Nobody's child deserves to be harmed. Okay? I can remember when I was younger, I couldn't come across here and see a lady for big groceries. You see, what we're having now is we're having kids. And they were expecting a kid to raise a kid. That to me is ludicrous. I went to a school yesterday to speak to some boys, and they had two little young ladies there. This little young lady is going into her 16th year, and she's already talking about having a family. So I say us, how is it that you're even allowed to hold that conversation? you're not got life done yet. Why is your 15-year-old mind looking to create a family? So that tells me, and I beg the audience, don't take my words as judgment. That tells me that some adults, because I don't want to offend nobody, some adults is not investing in this kid the way she needs to be invested in. So what I say is to hurry us, you and I were not going to have this conversation. However, we can have a conversation about your career, your future, what kind of young lady you aspire to be. We could talk about that. But we're not going to sit down and have a conversation about you at 15 years old creating a family. I don't condone that. I don't believe in that. And all this stuff about, well, you need to be open-minded, yes. But I believe in keeping kids where they are at the time they're supposed to be there in their life. She's 15, she's not 51. She's 15, she's not 31. Okay? At 15 years old, that's not a conversation you should be having with any adult. And if there's a parent that feels that that's an appropriate conversation, well, the question is, should you really be a parent? Because I'm more than sure you would want your kid to aspire to more in life than becoming a mother of 4, because that's what she says. She wants to be a mother of 4. And she wants to stay at home there. So what I'm listening to is so much confusion, but what bothers me more is, what is this little kid actually being exposed to? You understand what I'm saying? What is she being exposed to? Here's another kid who has lost his father, and in his mind, he understands about here, but in his mind, I can't wait to get big enough to return the favor that was given to my father. What this little kid needs is some direction, some support, some love, some guidance, so he could get rid of that stuff that has got buried deep in him. Okay? Because he's walking around with anger. He's walking around hurt, pain, very bitter, very resentful. And what are we doing? Us as adults, us as men, we're running around talking about the government, the system, the white man. I bet you can shut up and really talk, man. You get what I'm saying? Because these kids need us. We guys are never going to be 13 again. What we can do is at least feel comfortable in our ears to know that we contributed something towards the solution. Because that's what I'm about today. I took a lot out of the community. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm about today is trying, how can I give back and what can I give back? That's where I'm at. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm not into no foolishness. I'm not into trying to make a young man glamorize and glorify all the foolishness, because I know all the foolishness is throughout my life. And I'm grateful that I had that journey, because now it allows me to offer some help, some way, somehow, to somebody's son. It doesn't even have to be related to me, But I just don't want to see another me come through the door. I know that pain. I know that suffering. I know that bitterness. We don't deserve that. And because what Brenda, we can offer these guys much more. Okay? There's a lot of guys in Westgate right now, right, that regret being there. I was at Westgate in 1994, and I say, listen, how is it that I'm allowed to sleep all day? I don't have to shower if I don't want to. I don't have to do nothing today. When I get out, I'm just supposed to be a reformed person. I said, I'm in your house, which means I should follow your rules. There is no way all the classrooms at Westgate should be sitting down empty. There's no way. I believe, if we're talking about trying to embrace change and reform, you don't want to do nothing? Okay, well, you stay in the old day. You can get tired, you're going to come out. And when you come out, you're going to open up a book, you're going to learn, you're going to do math, you're going to do English, you're going to do writing. Or you're going to do a trade. But when you leave here, you're going to know how to read. I've been locked up with grown men that don't know how to read. You put the word dog in front of them, they don't know what they're looking at. Can't read a newspaper, but you've been in jail 3 or 4 times. So what are we doing? What are we doing? The thing is, when we realize, right, that one, if we don't put God first, I don't care what you're doing, how successful you think you are at the time, right? It's going to crumble. Okay? You got to put God first.
Yes, sir.
I also believe that we need to acknowledge that if you put a human life in this hand and a dollar in this hand, we need to be honest as which one matters more. Because it ain't the human life. Westgate, the schools, the churches, everybody now has just become one thing, a business. Who really cares if you care? But guess what? Somebody has to care. Because if we all jump on that, I don't care, what happens to our kids? What happens to our kids? If you look at the things that's going on in the school system right now, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I don't, yes, these kids need to be held accountable, but guess what? The parents need to be held accountable even more. Because everything starts from him. The other day, these two kids were still caught on these two pushbacks that were stealing. They're out there arguing with the mother. She's caught them on her children's pushbacks. They're arguing with her. Not only are they arguing, they're effing her off. So my thing is this here. If you feel at 13 years old you could F off somebody's mama, what type of room you're coming from? And again, this ain't judgment. Let's keep it real. Because I know that there are certain things I would never do because I knew that it was consequences to my choices. You see, if we're gonna stir this pot, let's stir it. You know what I mean? And we adults have to be held accountable for the way our kids believe they can act towards other adults. Reason being is because they act like that at home. We're living in a society now where parents are scared of their children. How crazy is that? You know why that is? Because the parent wants to be the friend instead of the parent. All right? That's where we are.
Afraid to be parents.
Yeah. Because parenting, right, takes a lot. And not all the time it's easy. But if some of us thought about that before we made some choices that lead up to millions and grands, we have a different story. You know what I mean? Why are we at this place? And why are we staying at this place? Because we're not doing our part. Right? We're not doing our part.
I think, I'm going to say this, sir. This fits you right here. Let me shake your hand, brother, because growing up, you have been always an older brother to me. Despite what you done, one thing I always respect and I loved about you, you never encouraged the younger generation to follow your footsteps.
Yeah.
You always would tell guys, hey, no, don't do that there, man. Even if you was doing it, you always still tell somebody else, no, don't do that there. And that's what's missing in this generation today. We don't have people that want to very much say, yeah, I may be at fault with things that I've done in my time, but I'm not going to leave the next generation to follow suit in my same footsteps. And we don't have that, and this is why our generations are just falling by the wayside, because we as elders are not taking our rightful place. And like you said earlier, it don't have to be your child to help save that child. You may be more of an impact on that child than the parent may be on that child, because the child looks up to you. And people like yourself, Trevor, when I was young, you the guys that you guys looked up to. And to stand here with you right now and to hear all you speak, brother, trust me, it gives me more strength and it gives me more energy, because like you said, you have been one of the guys who I looked up to, and many of us looked up to, that came from back of time. You know what I mean? And to see you standing there now, the change, man, you are having an impact on others' lives and changing them. So I want to just encourage you to
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, bro. You know that. Appreciate it.
Trevor, same way. You guys come up together, you know what I mean? We'll serve time in prison together. And you said something earlier about in the prison. I remember once when I was there, one of the chiefs of the prison said to me one day, he said, Zoo, what am I doing wrong in this prison? And I said to him, I said, you know what? I'm not going to speak to you as an inmate. I'm going to speak to you as if I think how the prison officers are going to speak to you. Why are not you implementing a regimental regime within this facility? I said an inmate should be able to, when the prison officers come in at 7 o'clock and have to do their rounds to check on those inmates, they should be outside the doors, shirt inside the pants, bed made up. Reason being, because when they come into society, they know are ready to go work. Like you said just now, if a guy's sitting up in prison for 5, 6, 7 years, and he can get a bath whenever he wants, he can go get food whatever he wants. How are we preparing them for society? How are we preparing them to go out there and become productive citizens in society? We're failing them right there and then. You know, so I would encourage this, whom are the people that are within the prisons facility, to start look at changing. How are you going about grooming boys into manhood within that corrections facility? Because that's what's happening. We have a lot of boys who have come from single parent homes that are within a corrections facility surrounded by man prison officers that are even helping them and assisting them by being their father figures to them. So we need more of that to be implemented to help make change within these young men's lives.
I've always said that. I've always said from the day one when I started this program that we as men, we drop the ball. Most of the blame is on us. That's where it all started. We dropped the ball on our children, our you know, so we have to take accountability for our actions. But someone made a statement about this should be on YouTube. This will be uploaded on YouTube after we are completed, and you can get it on youtube.com at TNN BDA. That's where you can see the whole series of Men's Talk in the Barbershop and the Women's Talk Roundtable discussion. They are on YouTube, and this one will be uploaded to YouTube. And I just want to put my disclaimer, TNN's disclaimer: the views and the opinions of individuals heard during this broadcast are not the representation or reflection of the opinion of TNN News Network or its staff.
Trevor, I just want to congratulate you for putting on this platform. I think it's a positive move on what you're doing. It's a good thing for the community. I hope more men can come in and really express themselves and get in the conversation and make Bermuda a better place. Because if you don't talk, nobody knows what's going on. So I just want to congratulate Trevor for putting on this, man. I think it's a good thing. Right?
Yeah, I'm looking for solutions. So, you know, Fitzy, what you said was spot on. We need solutions. That's the only way. It don't make no sense us just keep talking. We need solutions. So those that are watching, send us your thoughts. Send us your thoughts, because this stays up for, it doesn't come down. It's on my TNN Facebook page and it's on YouTube. But send the solutions. Send your thoughts on how you feel about how we can help your sons, your daughters. That's right. I mean, because we are the village. This whole island, we had that concept back then. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just go back to the things that made us what we, how we were brought up.
Written in the beginning?
Yeah.
You know, also with everything we're even talking about today, something that we also had on our flyer about our topics of the day, all this also ties into hospitality. Everything we've been talking about today also ties into hospitality. When children become sociable, you know what that does? It ruins hospitality. You know, we don't walk around no more speaking to each other, saying good morning to each other. I used to work at Redco, and I realized from working up at Redco how much we have some of the best hospitality in the world. Tourists used to come here on cruise ships, and I would see them walking down the street towards me, and you can tell that the intrigued, and all they want to say is good morning, and look forward to hearing me say good morning back with a smile. And when I kept seeing so much tourists saying it to me and smiling, it made me realize this is what they come to Bermuda to experience. You know, they come to Bermuda to want to experience that we offer, which is our hospitality, by greeting people whom we don't even know, with just saying good morning. But that also shows the God that exists within this island. We don't have to know each other from Adam or Eve, but we still greet each other with love. We speak to each other with love. We don't walk around as if, you know, we feel like we can't speak to each other, or I don't know, so there's not somebody I'm going to speak to. No, we speak as if we know each other, because the island is a village. The island is a village, you know, and we have allowed the gangs to start make us feel like we're not a village no more. So like the pastor said earlier with his child that had said to one of his friends when he asked him where he's from, I'm from Bermuda. that's exactly where we need to all go back to saying, we're from Bermuda. We're not from different parts of the island. We're all from Bermuda. Because maybe that can help change the narrative. More of our children just being able to speak to a lot of the persons saying when they ask them where you're from, I'm from Bermuda. You know what I mean? Because as long as we change that stigma that, oh, I'm from town and I'm from country, we're going to start create healing. But as long as we always say, no, I'm from St. George's or I'm from Somerset, then we're making ourselves feel like we're only from a certain part of Bermuda. When in actuality, we're from Bermuda, the whole of Bermuda. So, you know, hospitality has a big part to play with what is going on right now. We are seeing how Bermuda is losing its hospitality. You know, so again, we need to come back out there with that fighting spirit. We need that warrior spirit to be reinvoked back into people's lives, especially our men. Our men need to invoke back that warrior spirit. And the warrior spirit means you're not afraid to get on your children's cases. You're not afraid to put them in their place, but you're also not afraid to take constructive criticism. That's one of our biggest problems, being able to just take constructive criticism like a punch on the chin and say, yep, you was right. I didn't even see that about myself. Thanks for telling me. I can look in the mirror and make myself a better person now. Until we start looking at life like that, we're not going to see change. And this is why I love when me and Trevor came together and said, look, we need to start creating a platform that we can start have men to start get what's on their chest off. And the reason why we said that is because we feel that helps to also take down the pressure of the anger and the emotions and the feelings. Because now we can start realizing that maybe I can just have open dialogue with somebody that can help me get rid of what I'm carrying around that's been that heavy burden on my shoulders and on my chest. Like the gentleman said earlier, you know, he encourages more men to want to come out on this platform. And we are encouraging young, old, we need to hear from you. You know, we want open dialogue that can start create solutions. You know, people say, oh, you guys are just doing talk. No, what we're doing is we're creating a platform for people to start get off their chest a lot of the stuff that they've been bottled up with. So again, Trevor, I appreciate everything that we've been able to come and do inside this barbershop right here, and also Ohana's Barbershop in Somerset. You know, we appreciate what these guys have been able to allow us to come into their establishments and create. The listeners that take in all that we very much put together, we appreciate you. We ask of you to even encourage others, because the more we are in numbers, the more we can make a difference. So the more people that tune in and listen to what we are doing, the more this can help to create an impact that can help make a difference in this island.
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. So we want to thank those that support this network yet again. This one group, Beaumont Trucking. We have a few dedicated individuals that support TNN, and I just want to say thank you. We will be doing the Women's Talk roundtable discussion next week, the 21st of March, from Legends Bar, and we encourage you to join in. Yeah, so we want to say have a good evening, have a good night, and thanks for joining us.
And also, we encourage people to also want to take in an event that we're looking at putting on. Travel will be there as well, capturing some footage of this event. We have our Bermuda-owned, Grammy-nominated reggae artist, Cully Buds, that will be looking to perform on our shores July the 31st at Snorkel Park. You know, it's great to see our Bermudians being able to step outside of Bermuda and make themselves known in this world. And to see them being nominated for awards. You know, a population that is of 60-something thousand people and 21 square miles, we can do wondrous things in the world. We've had so many people that have been gifted and have done so much stuff. Like the gentleman spoke about earlier, Clarence Seal, you know, Edmund Johnson. You have so much people from sports that have very much reached platforms, gold medals, silver medals. You know, we can do so much, people, as long as we support each other and help each other. So again, we want to thank all of you who have tuned in and listened to another episode of Man's Talk in the Barbershop here at the Universal Barbershop on Court Street. And we ask that may you stay tuned for more that is to come. and may you tune in and encourage others to want to like, follow TNN News on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook.
Peace and blessings. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for our viewers. We appreciate your support, and stay tuned.
Oh my guys, happy Friday. You are from agents of this. See you.